Well, I don't know where my video cut off at, but I'm gonna pick up where I might think it may have cut off at. I was talking about at one point. I was talking about the bye bye baby, the charges that the ones got from destroying, trying to destroy the Georgia election. 6 years probation, 5 years, which ain't nothing because first offender means it'll never go on their record. As rich as they are, they don't care. Okay, it'll never go on their record. The other part of it is half of it is going to be deleted because why would they want to do wrong now? Okay, 3 years to serve on it. They'll never hear about it again. I worked in the courts 24 years. I know how it works. And so it makes me a little angry. Give the Freemans some money. Say, I'm sorry. That's the way I felt when the Klan shot into our house. I have begged Monica Pearson just recently, but Fred down through the years, WSB TV, 1146. I begged them to give me a copy of the videos from 6212 Pisgah Road, Mableton, Georgia, when they shot into our house on October the 12th, 1983. They said that black folks was not in the history of the United States. So they shot into our house because we moved on they said, an all-white street where no blacks had lived called Pisgah Road. That's why I agree with destroying that name, Old Alabama. Old Alabama starts right here at Pisgah. Okay, Old Alabama represents nobody's name in this county. Why keep it old? Name it Pebblebrook Street. Okay, name it Civil Rights Street. But why Old Alabama? Why Old Alabama? I remember the TB epidemic. My son had to be treated a year. It's a lot of students got it. Thank God for Cobb Board of Health. Yeah, my son had to be treated for a whole year. His daddy had to take him to the doctor to take a pill because of TB. The black students got it. Some of the white students got it. I remember when they was going to close down Harmony Leland. And y'all, we had to boycott. They was going to close down Harmony Leland. And because Coach Hare was the principal. Coach Hare was also up at Austell Elementary when they desegregated the school. I started with that 1963. That's when Dr. King, and I got a lot of stuff on my Facebook. Dr. King authenticated a lot of stuff, a lot of places, even my granddaddy's community, the Scotts Crossing community. My sisters could not go to school in Cobb County. We lived in Cobb, but they had to farm in Cobb, cross back over that river on Monday, and go to the colored school. The colored school was Scotts Crossing Colored School in 1963 until they built in 1965, I think it was, Scott's William J. Scott's Elementary School. Okay, but I remember working for the bank, and I thank God, as I said, for Lee Partain. Woo! I had a person to come into the bank one time and say, ain't no nigga gonna take my money from Mount Pisgah Baptist Church. That's where he came from. And you know what? My boys, they're good white people, y'all. My boys ended up being the first black two students to go to the day school at Mount Pisgah Baptist Church on South Gordon. But he stood in that line that day and he said, you ain't taking our money. Every teller in the bank shut their lines down. These are white folks. They shut them lines down and left my window open. He didn't have no choice, or he would have stood there all day. They wasn't waiting on nobody. They were gonna make him come to my window, and he did. Ooh, that man called me nigger. That man called me every colored word, whatever you could call. But I still took his money, and I still deposited into that bank. I was working at the bank, Georgia State Bank. We signed, I wrote it, I know what it said. The first fair share agreement in the nation of civil rights. Let me slow it down. We at Georgia State Bank, under Roy Barnes, Steve Thompson, Lee Partain, because Roy had the majority of the stockholder of the bank. We signed the first fair share agreement. Oscar Freeman, Dover Farrell, and myself sat at Burger King and wrote it. We signed that first fair share agreement, first financial agreement in the history of the nation for a civil rights person. Asians, blacks, any color could go into a bank and get a loan to get a house. I still don't have no house. I don't care. But I bet you they can get one. Yes, I bet you we accomplished the goal. We signed that fair share agreement, and the National NAACP brought me to Kansas City, Missouri, and gave me the Unsung Hero Award. It didn't. It was. Unsung mean that you're not known. But I got the award for writing that agreement and us signing it. Church's Chicken came second after they firebombed Melvin over on what's now the Mableton Parkway. Y'all see that 1963 mean a lot of civil rights history. You're talking about civil rights. Civil rights took place in Mableton, South Cobb County. This who fought it. We're the ones that fought it down here, being shot at, cussed at, called out our names. And in at that time, I remember Solid Cole. I mean, Edward Barber, Edwin Barber, Daddy, not the son, Edwin, the daddy. I remember Lee Partain. I remember, oh my God, so many. But Solid Cole was over the Board of Education. He was the man at Mount Pisgah Baptist Church. Solid Cole was the one that brought my boys into that church. When the guy said he wasn't gonna let no nigga wait on him, Solid Cole brought my boys into Mount Pisgah Church, and they went 3 days a week for the 3 days. See, that was good white folks that wasn't gonna take that junk. They wasn't gonna take you mouthing off and all that stuff. From 63 up to 69, 67, no, 68, 69, the battle went on. I got a video on my Facebook talking about crossing over this old Alabama down in Austell. That creek. Oh my God, my stomach turned. I work at the Douglas County Sheriff Department over at Lithia Springs. I run that office. And when I go there and I have to go down that street, it makes my stomach turn. We used to have to put our feet up on when that bus went across that creek. You talking about the 500-year flood. We went through the 500-year flood every year when we went to Washington Street Elementary. When that bus crossed that creek, the water came up to the seats on the bus. We had to put our feet up and hoping no snakes didn't come in. Lucius Brown, J.C. Kimball, them the only two that I kind of remember were our bus drivers. They told them, hey, you
I took your purse to funds. It's in the
okay,
trunk.
all right.
I really couldn't find you.
Thank you. Love you.
Love you too.
Anyway, those were the buses that we rode. And The Board of Education told Miss Betsy Runner, if you get a bus driver to drive the colored students, we'll give y'all a bus. We used to have to walk down Ivy Road, where I live at now, on that dirt road. We would come to school muddy. You ain't never seen red mud until you get on a black person and get on their shoes, especially. We would have to walk up to Sharrington Way, or we would have to walk down to Queensmere Road to get on those buses. Lucia's bus. When it rained, you couldn't get through no red mud, no dirt road, not in no rain. And so we would have to walk to get on the bus. That's what we would have to do. And so it was something, desegregation. Desegregation. And that's what they should name it. They should name it. They should name it desegregation. The desegregation of these schools down here should be a whole section. Now, Dr. Tom Scott, if you go to the oral history section, he did a fantastic job on capturing the history. A lot of black people, I worked on the historic Mabel House, and they wanted to name the place after the Barnes. And a lot of people didn't want their names associated with slavery and such as that, especially good white people. They didn't want that stuff. But I had to work on that project. We had to find them 13 slave graves names. So it wasn't personal to me until I found out it was my own family. Then it became personal. Okay, tell me my history. Don't hide my history and let it come up on me. Okay, don't let me be searching for my cousins and my aunts and my uncles and my family and let it come up on me ignorantly. But I can remember they couldn't build that $11 million amphitheater until we found them slaves. I was in the Church of God in Christ. I was Elder Roy Harden Sr. Phil McLemore said, Mary, I was on the board at the Mableton Improvement Association. There was no more blacks there. He said, Mary, they can't find this lady, and those are her descendants. Okay, and if you can't find a descendant, they can't claim the property. And I remember saying, well, that's stupid. I got 67 nieces and nephews. How can you not have no family? I don't believe that. I might not like all family. They may get on my nerves, but I got family. I got a lot of family. Stack and Sook happened to be my family when it all came out. Francis from the Atlanta Journal and Constitution wrote the article, The Black and White Family Reunion. Oh my God. And so they made me the liaison between the community. Never had heard of the word liaison. I didn't even know what some of these words meant. So they made me the liaison, only black one, and I did what I normally do in churches. Musicals, draw people. Church programs, draw people. I know church. We set up on the Mabel House musicals. Daria Wilson, bless her soul. If you go into the historic Mabel House, there's a genealogy chart which extends to Kennesaw State University. People have come from all over the world to put their name on that genealogy chart stemming from the Mabel family. They owned slaves in Mableton, the first black slave, Celia, who they graced that had stomach cancer. They took her to Auburn Avenue. They had me in more dungeons. Thank God for Sellers Brothers. Thank God for Hines. Thank God for that it's a black museum downtown now on Auburn Avenue. Thank God for Cox Funeral Home. I would be so angry. The white folks would ask me to go with Daria, Green Grove Cemetery. We had to find death certificates and birth certificates. I bless morticians, especially them black morticians who kept our records. They would bury in plastic bags the information in your grave. See, before 1910, black folks could not be embalmed, but they put your information in that casket so that in the future, was the future, became 1999, so that we can find your families. When they stuck that stick in the ground at the Mabel house for $30,000, I said, they are a bunch of fools. This is a joke. This is not real. You need to make a trip up to the Mabel house. It was real. It is real. There are 13 dead black slaves in that ground. Two of them happen to be my kinfolks, Thack and Sook. If you go on Landers Drive and look over that fence by the free clinic, that house was Celia Mabel, a slave. The Klan shot into her house. I guess Mableton was a shooting area for the Klan. The Klan shot into her house. It's a 2-bedroom house. They let the animals run through the house rather than picking the house up and taking it and putting it up on the Mabel House project as the living museum. It still got the bullet hole. It still got where it was shot. It still got where they shot something in it to burn it up. It's still sitting there. And today is 10/21, the day my mother died. I was funeralized. 2023. Not she was done in 1988. That house is still sitting there. I can tell you the history, not just of Cobb County. I've traveled all over Georgia. The NAACP had me every which way. I don't even know how I got into civil rights. I was a church girl, and you did not leave out of the church. You did not go. And at one time, somebody called me a sinner for leaving out, going, doing stuff like that. And for real, I thought I was, because I didn't know that you could go be involved in community. But it is us that makes the community. And so those slaves was there. But I remember so many good people. And I do want those videos. I want my son, Xenophon, to see. I want his daddy, Alan, his brother, Alan Jr., pastor now, to see what we went through to get what we got. Mm-hmm. We got I'm not talking about what I got. I don't have no house. All I got is a car. I live with my brother-in-law and my nieces. I live very comfortable, but I do want my own one day. But I don't have all that stuff, but I have my right mind. I have a peace in me that surpasses all understanding. I bless my children. I got 6 grandchildren, 2 great grandchildren, and I could have been dead in my grave. Yeah, I want them to see the videos. Not out of vindictiveness, not out of hate. That's what The media is there, in my opinion, to keep history. If it wasn't for some medias keeping this history, y'all, we wouldn't have no Black history. That's what the Oral History Project, that's how it came about. We had no history in Cobb County. If you read Dr. Scott's book, every program that came through, I worked on it and presented it. And it wasn't just for Black folks. We worked more for the Asians and the Hispanics than we worked for Black people. Oh, yeah, we did. They're the ones that was abused more than all of us was abused. I'm not going to say that statement. All of us was abused. But I'm talking about now 63 to 69. That was a fight. And the biggest fight was down in South Cobb County, the place where the least is talked about. They won't tell the story about down here. Oh no. That my nephew Keith. Look at him and his little family coming up. Pebblebrook. Oh. Keith, you never played football, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You played basketball. Uh-huh. And his beautiful wife. His wife is the one that makes him.
How you doing?
I'm good. I'm trying to get her to apply at the Douglas County Sheriff Department. She won't do it and live in Douglas County all her born life. Over there, straight. But that was my kinfolk. I told you everybody got kinfolks. Everybody got kinfolk. That's the fourth generation right there. Fourth and fifth. Ivy. Her name Ivy from Ivy Road. Oh yeah. But Keith, all of the alumni are coming here. And you know, unless we tell the story, they're celebrating where we came from. When you see my son over there with his vending truck, thank you, Jesus, because he could have been a casket. That's the baby. That's my son that could have been dead. That's my son. And you know what I like about Dr. Scott's book? Dr. Harris T. Travis, when they shot into our house, we, the NAACP, had to do a fast turnabout. I was working for the bank. That morning when they shot into our house, that night, I was told to be at a meeting. Unless you were dead, we had written notices. You had to be at that meeting. Well, I didn't die that night. I had to be at that meeting at 7 o'clock that morning. When they announced that the NAACP was planning a boycott and that the NAACP was coming in with balls and bats and that the NAACP was going to put chain on the door. Not only did I like to wet on myself, I was mad as the devil. Oh my God, y'all, I was. I raised my hand in that meeting and asked them, where did you get this information from? I'm the chairman of Fair Share for the NAACP. I know nothing about what you're talking about. If a boycott was planned for Susan B. Anthony and Black Dollar Day, I would know. I'm the chairman of that group. That's how I got a Unsung Hero Award at the 75th Diamond Jubilee Banquet. Go check the records. In Kansas City, Missouri. How could I not know? that a boycott had been planned for that day. But it was that son right there. I thank God for Neil Warren. I do. He was a deputy then, and Deputy Al Jackson. And I thank God for Charles Spann. He was internal affairs. I was so hysterical. Sheriff Warren said, Mary, I need to drive you over to your bank and you need to go home. He said, you are stressed. He said, your house was just shot into. Your child was just get. I made my children go to school that morning. I got up. They got on the bus. I didn't drive them to school. I wasn't scared. Okay, it was the duty of Cobb County to take care of me. I went to that meeting. I drove myself to the meeting. I did. The only thing that made me scared out of the entire town was a deputy told me that your house should have been shot into. That girl, this was during the time that the young lady at Aikinsville had been abducted. Never was thinking about that. And he was securing my bank. When he said that to me, I wanted to fight that day. That's the only time I got ready to fight. When he said my house should have been shot into. Lord have mercy. To this day, I thank God for Sheriff Pounds and the Douglas County that accepted me. I never thought I could work for a sheriff department after hearing those words. Now that scared me. If you in law enforcement and say something that's stupid to me. Today I work there. I'm not fearful. I'm not scared. I believe they'll protect me. I respect law enforcement to the diehard. That's telling you about the improvements of the system. Detective Charles Spann told me, Mary, you need to go home. You gotta be traumatized. I remember them three people. Al Jackson, a black detective, deputy. I remember that. That's where 63 across them trees right there. My house was right behind that tree right there, all the way over there. That's where Xenophon almost got killed. That's where, you know who really can, you know who told me who did it and who came to our rescue? A white police officer on his deathbed. Gave us a gun to protect ourselves. Gave it to my husband, didn't give it to me. Okay, he still didn't like me for that NAACP, but he loved my husband, my ex-husband. And it is so much that I could tell. Folks say you ought to write a book. Which book? What would the name of it be? Which way would it go? All I can do is just do videos for you to see different things that have occurred and we have accomplished. I'm standing on, I'm going to call it holy ground. This is holy ground that I'm standing on, in my opinion. This is the ground. It's exactly the way it was when they drove us students in here and we walked into those doors and met J.B. Stoner and Governor Lester Maddox and police officers. The principal. I sung in the choir in school. Miss Mims put us in the choir. Carol Beavers and Suzanne was at Harmony Leland. But it was the parking lot, I think was just this way. Or maybe it was over there. I just remember walking in. All I can see in my head is walking in that building. That's what I did. And I just wanted to share that little story with you because Leroy is going on to higher hikes on the Board of Education. And he has to have this information. He has to have this knowledge. Knowledge is power. You ought to know where you come from. And as you see, all these black people, this is basically a black area. And y'all hear why they got a church down there? They got a band down, a church down there singing because that's what brought us over. That's what brought us across. I bless you. I bless my son. I see his daddy over there. I bless him over there working. His daddy was right there when they shot into our house. He could have been killed too. But God spared their life. And now they're working on the property that he spared their lives on. This is a wonderful day. And I'm glad that they got the band right there, the gospel right there in front of the gym. Kay Jackson, that was my son's name principal. That was Alan's principal. Calvin went here. Keith went here. Demetrius went here. Thomas went here. Christian went to Douglas. Their children went here. It is so many of our generations went here. So I thank God for Pebblebrook. Pebblebrook. It grew so big, they had to move it up here to the big Pebblebrook. And we got 2 Lindleys. And don't let me start telling you about when Bridget and her sister got killed over drugs. 2 young students. Don't let me tell you when the 3 over in Powder Spring, the mom and the 2 daughters, Haitian. I tell you, we fought for everybody. Got killed, and do you know they still don't have who killed them 5 people? Those 5 people. Yeah, we had to really. I don't even mind not doing nothing. I don't even mind not having a title because I think I fought enough. But you never give up until you die. And I ain't finna die. I'm gonna live over 100. I thank God for this Pebblebrook 60th anniversary. God bless you, Pebblebrook. Alumni Association. God bless you, my family, my son, my people. Bless you for living.